Hello, this is James Tanner. Welcome to Genealogy Star video blog. You can read my blog posts on Google Blogger, or you can view some of them here on my YouTube channel. You can also try a search for Genealogy Star. About 10 years ago, I began trying to distill the essence of genealogical research into some basic rules. I had discovered that much of the pain and suffering in the genealogical world is caused by researchers ignoring some basic rules. And after discovering the first and most important rule, I kept thinking, and the first list of the 6 rules of genealogy was published on my Genealogy Star blog back on July 1st, 2014. Since then, I have published 8 more rules for a total of 14. When the entire genealogical world seems to be against you finding your ancestors, just remember these rules and you will soon be on your way to finding that elusive ancestor. This video is the second in a series where I will cover all the 14 rules, each one in its own short video. Rule number 2 is absence of an obituary or death record does not mean the person is still alive. These rules of genealogy are not trivial statements. They have deep meaning. This particular rule, which I have called Rule 2, is a good example. It comes from a common circumstance where a genealogical researcher gets hung up looking for a particular document or of a particular event to the exclusion of more general research. My conversation with such an individual goes something like this. Me: how's your research going these days? Researcher: I'm looking for a death record, or any other kind of record, for my great-great-grandfather, and I've been searching for that record for the past fill in the blank, years without success. Me: do you think he's still alive? Researcher: oh, of course not. Rule 2 covers this situation, but the real implication of the rule goes well beyond the obvious facts. There are a lot of reasons why we may not be able to find a particular record. The most common is that you're looking in the wrong place. You may also be searching in the wrong time frame. The type of record you're looking for may not have been kept in the way you suppose at the time the event occurred. The record may have been lost, destroyed, or never created, and so forth and so on. Yes, vital records are important historical records, but they may even be inaccurate, and in many cases they may be entirely missing. For example, in most of the United States, birth and death records were not universally mandated and kept until well into the 20th century. Back to my conversation with the researcher, my next questions include, how do you know the person was alive? Did the person have a spouse and children or not? If a person was alive in the past more than 100 years ago, it is a fair assumption that they died. Do we need a record proving they died? Not really. Likewise, you can take the same position with regard to every other particular type of record. Fixating on one type of record is counterproductive. It is really a good idea to have a source for every event, but this does not mean that you need a record that was specifically created to support the particular event in question. Approximate dates and ages are acceptable as long as there are supporting documents that include the time and place the events may have occurred. This means that if you want to estimate a birth date, you have some other document that shows the age of the person on a particular date. For example, all census records, dates of births, or ages are unreliable, but helpful in estimating a birth date. But what if you have a record that includes the birth date? Is that reliable? Well, maybe. The date was not recorded at or near the time of the original event and may or may not be accurate. However, Rule 2 is not an excuse for sloppy or incomplete research. You can't just cop out and say that a record cannot be found. For example, the courthouse burned down. When you are doing research, you need to have a holistic approach. No record of a person's life is inconsequential. Remember, the second rule of genealogy is absence of an obituary or death record does not mean the person is still alive. This concludes some of the basic ideas of the second rule of genealogy, Because there is already a video for Rule 1, now there are 12 more rules of genealogical research to go. In between all my other activities, I will be posting additional short videos highlighting each rule.